sacrifice and love.
Yeah.
You were military personnel before?
Yes.
You were in the military?
Yes.
Tell us about it. How was it? How was the journey? How long were you there for?
I was there for 4 years, and it was very interesting because when I joined, they told me that I would just be playing basketball for the...
You're going to play basketball for the military?
They told me that's what I would be doing, and I would still be able to get the benefits. And, you know, as soon as I got in and I got done with basic training and advanced individual training, immediately I was on a plane to Afghanistan within the first year.
Wow.
So, yeah, I spent 9 months there. It was really crazy. Made a man out of me. I left a boy and came back a man, and I grew a lot. My perspectives changed, and I think the one takeaway I can take from that experience is that I just appreciate every single moment that I live, and I try to conquer each day like it's my last. So yeah.
Yeah, I'd like that statement again when we are ending the show. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's kick start with the discussion for the day. Web3. What is it? If some of these like new to this thing has never heard it before, what are we looking at?
I think before we talk about Web3, we have to talk about Web1, right? So in the early stages of the internet, we could only read databases, right? And then we couldn't interact with one another. We could only just read the databases. So it was just for information purposes only. And then eventually what ended up happening was the decentralization of information through a centralized hub. And that's Web 2. So when you look at like Facebook, you look at like Instagram, MySpace was out too as well, Gmail and Yahoo and so on. So they acted as intermediaries for us to be able to communicate back and forth with one another, right? And so that's the establishment of Web 2. So Web 2 is, again, the decentralization of information leveraging a centralized hub. The issue with that is that that centralized hub gets to dictate the rules whenever they so please. So, for instance, the content that you have on your Instagram, if Instagram deleted you off of Instagram, you would lose all of that content, right? So there's no way for you to jump from one platform to another and just port that content unless you had a backup, right? So Web3 allows and enables you the opportunity for ownership, right? So Web 1 is read, Web 2 is read and write, so the communication channels, and then Web 3 is the ability for you to own the infrastructure itself or to own the IP itself and be able to teleport that and transport that through cyberspace. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to remind you that you're tuned in to ZFM. This is the Z Tech Show by myself, Delpy, and I'm here with my brother, Vandros. I hope I mentioned him correctly.
Yeah, Vandros.
And you're tuned in. You can leave your comments or your questions. I'm actually live on TikTok at the moment. If you follow me on social media, Delpy1_, right on TikTok, we're live. You can leave your comments there. In the chat section, we will answer them. You could as well send a WhatsApp message to us via the WhatsApp line 0544 321 019. The number again is 0244 321 019. And make sure to follow ZFM on all social media platforms at ZFMGH on Instagram, Facebook, and X, and at Z Multimedia on TikTok and YouTube. You should as well check our website out, especially if you want to get the audio version of this live telecast or broadcast at www.zmultimedia.com. Vandros, if somebody is new to this thing, let's say my 5-year-old, I don't have a 5-year-old, but let's just say my 5-year-old, how do I explain? You've explained it in very good bits that most people would even understand, but to break it down further for them to like have a clear perspective, just in simple terms, what is it going to look like for them in terms of Web3, like in the future?
Ownership. So that's the main thing, is ownership in every single level of the beginning stage of the digital infrastructure. So in the example that I made previously about the Instagram, right? So no one really understands the operating systems and mechanisms that go into Instagram. No one has the opportunity to vote on proposals on new updates. So Web3 allows for you to get that ownership stake of the infrastructure itself by decentralizing the equity. And also then decentralizing the ability to govern that network, right? And also the capabilities for you to not just get canceled and then or just get demonetized and then have no clue why, right? So when it's a community-driven approach as opposed to just a centralized corporation approach. And so the main thing that I would say is just ownership is where we're transitioning to is, because for instance, if you even look at your money, right, you don't own your money, right?
No,
so as soon as you deposit it into the bank, it's actually it's a lease agreement between you and the bank. So you're leasing your money to the bank, and the bank is able to do whatever it wants with it in the back end, where in the front end, it just shows that you have this amount of digits on the screen. But if everybody goes to collect their money, not everybody can get it at the same time because they don't actually have it. They're only legally obligated to keep 10% or less of your money in terms of liquidity.
Okay.
So that's, again, it becomes an issue because you don't actually own it.
Right.
So if you look at the landscape of, for instance, Bitcoin, in this particular example that a lot of people know about now, Bitcoin is a self-sovereign, decentralized network operating open source thing, right? So it basically allows you, in simple terms, I try to tell people like having a physical safe in your house, right?
Okay.
If you have a physical safe in your house, then you are the only one who have access to those codes to be able to get the money inside, right?
Right.
And you can just transform that example into cyberspace, and it's the same thing where we're in a stage where we have intermediaries every time we transact. Okay. And so this alleviates that intermediary and allows for peer-to-peer.
Of course.
Right? So we're having this more transformed approach into peer-to-peer, community-driven, shared ownership, shared economies. And that's what Web3 is, right?
Okay.
Ownership, community-driven approach, peer-to-peer, shared economies.
Shared economies.
Yes.
You seem very, you are actually very, very good with this.
Yeah.
I'm wondering when and why did you go into it?
Oh, yeah. So it's a very long story. So I actually started my journey in the stock market, and then my brokerage account had this thing implemented called Bitcoin.
Okay.
And so I was like, I'm just too curious of a person. So I was like, what is this? And this is 5 years ago. And I was just very curious. I was like, what is it? So I immediately went to Google, you know.
Yeah.
And you can learn things very quickly nowadays. I don't know why people still don't know that you can, everything's on our phone.
Fingertips.
It's yeah. So I just Googled what it was, and it said like decentralized network, decentralized money. And I was like, what is decentralization?
Yeah.
So then I started going down the rabbit hole of decentralization. Then I was like, wait, this sounds like a startup that is a competitor to money itself.
Exactly.
And I was like, whoa, this is crazy. Well, what is money? So then I started going down that rabbit hole, and I was like, okay, I need to then figure out what the mechanisms that drives money, how money was first established, what happened in the past for us to get to this point of this version of money.
Yeah.
And then I realized that through my extensive research that the money itself is fake, right? It's the current version that we have. And it actually steals our time and our futures, right? Yeah. Through inflation. And it's happening globally. And this is the problem that Africans don't understand too as well a lot of times, because they don't have the exposure to like Western markets and et cetera. But for someone who's traveled holistically and can look at the entire globe and compare, you see that there's inflation happening every single place, every single country. So the same problem you're facing here, you're going to face over there. And it's actually going to be much harder for you because you're going to sell your assets that you have here to go and chase the money that's over there. But you don't know that you're going to work more hours, waste more time. And a lot of people come there too and aren't skilled. Yeah. So they end up just driving Uber, working like 80 hours a week, and they think that they've made it, you know, and sending the little small money that they can home. So I actually think it's better. The best play, I think, currently right now is to work in technology remotely, right? So that way you earn in dollars or you earn in crypto and you stay home. And that way you have flexibility, and also you have more income, right? More income coming, so more savings means more investment.
Yeah,
right.
Basically.
And that's the play I think that people aren't really paying attention to, because we're currently right now in the exponential growth phase of technological advancements, and people haven't realized that yet.
Nobody has.
So there's new tech coming out every single month. You know, just recently now we just discovered this AI agents, as you probably know too as well. And we're actually going to be having an AI agents course for our academy to keep up with this trend that's happening, because this is going to be the future of work. So when you look at AI agents, you see that they can be leveraged so you could be the manager of an AI agent army, right? And that army would then be, each AI agent would be tailored and critiqued for one specific task. So let's say you deal with go-to-market strategy. You deal with marketing. You deal with basically the business processes or the operations sector. You deal with the actual code itself, right? And the person who's capable of being able to manage these AI agents will be the new form of work. And that's kind of where we're trending towards, where a lot of humans will be replaced with, robots and AI. And it's for many reasons, a plethora of reasons too as well, especially in the West, which, I'll leave it off there for now. I know you have other questions.
There's a lot to unpack here. There's a lot. I'm learning myself, and I really, I'm new to most of this. Ladies and gentlemen, you're live on ZFM. This is Z 101.9 FM. And as the conversation goes on, if you want to send in some questions or messages, we have our WhatsApp lines opened at 0544-321-019. Make sure to send your questions in. We'll answer them right here for you. Myself and my big brother Vandros here to readily answer your questions for you. Also, you can follow us on social media at ZFMGH on Facebook, Instagram, and X. And you can leave your questions there in the comments too, because we are actually live on Facebook and YouTube. So also make sure to follow us on YouTube at Z Multimedia. Same handle for TikTok as well. Our website again is also open at www.zmultimedia.com. Vandros, I want one practical example of Web3. Something more graphical for people to just have a fair idea of what it looks like if it's already in motion.
Yeah, I'll just give you a quick example that I think a lot of people are privy to, which is, just trade. Like, say, for instance, if I had 10,000 cities in cash and I just gave it to you in cash right now, you just transform that into the digital space, and I'm able to send you 10,000 cities worth of, let's say, a cryptocurrency directly to you with no intermediary. So the typical money logistics and how it works is there is, let's say, for instance, an infrastructure or intermediary in the middle between me and your transaction, either a bank, a PayPal, a Momo, and etc. Right? And so Web3 removes that centralized intermediary and implements code, right? An autonomous self-sovereign code, right? Open source code. And so this code acts as that advancement, if you will, for us to be able to transact peer-to-peer, and nobody can stop that, or it acts as that intermediary, so nobody can stop me and you transacting digitally now, which opens up the floodgates to no more, for instance, if you look at sanctions, right?
Yep.
So that becomes an issue if you're like in Zimbabwe, or if you're in Iran, or if you're in a location where you're being sanctioned and you were receiving, if you're, let's say, someone's grandma and you were receiving payments from your son or your grandson from the West, and now you can't receive them anymore. How do you get that money? Right? So you need to find an alternative means to be able to transport digital value without any humans involved, without any intermediary that's not favorable to you involved. And so it creates a more fair and equitable situation for everybody involved. And also, too, if you're working remotely, you know how hard it is to transform or to receive dollars, right? It can take weeks, sometimes a month to just receive the money, because I was talking with my co-founder and he was saying that he was trying to receive some money from the West, and it took him a whole month because he had to drive over to the city, open up a dollar account, do all this stuff, and then he had to wait a couple weeks, and then he had to wait in line. The account finally got opened. The guy finally made the transfer. The money didn't come in for another week. Then he had to swap it into Naira. You see, all those logistics and all that time can be cut if we just use technology, right? So that's the entire point, is to replace the human and put in and implement code or technology, autonomous code or technology that is community driven and community ran and owned. And that's the entire point.
So we're talking about Helicode now.
Yeah.
But before we branch into Helicode, I have a very personal question. NFTs. Yeah. We heard about them some time back. There was a hype for it for a while, and I know it has a backbone to, Web3, blockchain and stuff.
Yeah.
Do you think it's still relevant?
Yeah, absolutely. You can use NFTs. The hype that what everyone saw at the forefront was, monkeys drooling on a
the monkey
on a digital JPEG, right? Yeah. And that's not really the value proposition of NFTs. The value proposition of NFTs is to have unique ownership of something. So let's look at an example of real estate, right? Instead of going through all those hoops and jumping through all that paperwork and etc., what if there was one day a point in time where we could have a marketplace where people could just go on a website and literally just buy an NFT And an NFT serves as a digital unique identifier for that particular asset, in this case, the real estate. So once you buy it and you have in your digital wallet, that shows proof of ownership itself, and you cut out all these expenses and middlemen and commissions and et cetera, right? And so it creates this ability to have a non-fungible token, or in this case, a unique identifier. And it's a unique hash, a unique identifier for that particular asset. And so the next NFT you create won't be the same as the other NFT. And so that's the ideal of it. Also, if you look at driver's license, you look at people who don't have IDs, who are out of this current model or system, they could then be able to facilitate an ID, right, through an NFT, which would be that unique, incorruptible, immutable identifier to them. Right. Mm-hmm. And that's the entire idea of actually the NFTs itself. But, you know, you can use it for monkeys drooling, you know, you can use it for many different sorts of things, you know, but that's the thing. A lot of stuff that gets a lot of hype is not actually what the technology could be used for in the broader perspective.
Tell me about Helicode.
Yeah. So, man, it's funny how we decided to create Helicode, man. I'm smiling so hard because I just think about the journey that we've been on. And yeah, it started with Fian hitting me up, and he was telling me that, you know, what the problems were and how we could solve them on the ground on his perspective. And I was telling him what was happening in the Web3 space and how we could link the two, because I saw that there was an issue with the labor market itself, either one being too expensive or not having enough people or enough talent within that particular niche in the Web3 space. And then Fian saw that, you know, there's, you know, obviously we both saw the same thing of there's a growing population in Africa, right? Whereas the rest of the global north is actually decreasing in population. So that means that they need to outsource labor, especially digitally. And you can do that now because a lot of people have more access to internet than they did before in the past in Africa. So we saw that we could bridge the two, and also we could also solve the payment issue because people can just get paid in crypto, swap it into their local currency and make things easier. So then now that surge of, you know, 70% of Africa is age 30 and younger, now that surge of population workforce can have an opportunity to work and also contribute into the Web3 space to accelerate it. And also companies can outsource more cost-effective labor. And so everybody kind of wins. And also the Africans can get the skill sets and then also bring them back to the continent and also leverage those skill sets to build the own infrastructure and solve the own problems on the ground. And that's basically the entire idea.
Beautiful. So somebody wants to get into Helicode. What should they expect? What is it about?
To learn very aggressively and to get a lot of practical experience. And those are the two main things that we want to focus on, is to learn the proper education, because a lot of people think that meme coin trading is all Web3 is about. And no, we give you the proper education, because people don't think like, how did the meme coin come to be? There was a whole infrastructure. Yeah. There was a whole team. There was a go-to-market strategy. There was somebody launching the meme coin. Where did they launch it on? What infrastructure did they use to launch on? Why did they choose that infrastructure? So we're trying to teach the Africans on the ground on the entire workplace processes to get to that stage, which is building the new layer of the new digital infrastructure, right? And that's what we want to teach. So that's what you can expect, is to learn one of those verticals, because there's many verticals within Web3 in terms of job placement, in terms of positions, right? You have Web3 technical writing. You have Web3 marketing, which is different because you take a community-driven approach. You have Web3 researcher, right? Which is, you know, someone that's able to do extensive research. I know you do a lot of tech research too as well. And
sometimes,
yeah, companies leverage that, especially if you're looking at venture capital firms. They leverage your research to be able to make analytically driven decisions on what is where the best to place their money, right? And so you have smart contract development, which is what I really encourage a lot of Africans to get into as well, because that's going to give them a unique advantage, because that's where there's a huge drought of smart contract developers. And so you get an opportunity to be at the forefront and position yourself as to be one of the main players in the smart contract space.
Oh, so, beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I want to know, is it costly for anyone? Do you think it's because
No. We specifically we made it very, very cheap and affordable, and we're currently not running a huge discount. Like the first cohort, we only charged $10, and the second cohort we're charging $20. So I highly recommend anybody who is listening to, if they do want to get in, they should before this discount closes in the next month or so. And then after that, then we're going to charge $30, because it's a business at the end of the day, and we're kind of doing this to get as many people as we can in early at a very good and affordable rate, because people usually charge in the West these type of programs like $1,000, $500. So for us charging, $20-$30, I mean, we think it's more than doable for most people. If you have a laptop phone, you can definitely, scrounge around, go hustle, man. Get some cassava yams and, go hustle for a little bit for a week or something.
I'm actually looking at the website here, and it speaks a lot of, opportunities. One thing I know about this whole platform that makes it stand out for most of the other online platforms is the fact that you could actually, you find ways for people to get the job when they're done, like from the outside market or from the Western world, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
So platforms, I'm not saying that is what you do, but let's say platforms like Meta, Google, you're trying to outsource some of these clients right from Helicode Academy to them.
Yes, exactly. And it's not really Web2, because Web2 companies like Meta, but I get your point. But it's more blockchain companies. So companies that are actually trying to build the new digital infrastructure, and it's a global thing. Everyone's trying to do that, and so there's a plethora of new companies launching all the time. And as long as there's companies launching, then there's always going to be work, right? And you're talking about the fastest growing markets in, I think, human history. I mean, you're talking about like 200,000% return or rate of growth in the past 10 years. So this is definitely the market to be in. It's one of the main players that you can position yourself in for the future.
I see you have a collaboration with Mest and Isaac.
Absolutely, man.
That has to be wild.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, it's been a long journey with Isaac, and also Mest. Actually, they sponsored 39 students too as well.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we're actually supposed to potentially. Maybe I shouldn't say this, but yeah, I'll just keep it on the wraps for now. Okay, but we're working behind the scenes with Mest on something. And I can't really announce it right now, but
that's beautiful. I mean, so far as there are things going on. I mean, I really admire that. So, if anyone wants to hop onto Helicode, what are some of the things they can do?
Yeah, it's simple. You just go to helicode.xyz and you choose a course that you're liking. That you check from our course offerings. It's right there on the website. I suggest you also watch our video too, as well as you see when you directly go on the website, so you can get a little bit broader perspective of what it is that we do and what we're trying to accomplish. And then you go ahead and just choose whatever course you feel comfortable with. We have technical and non-technical courses. So for people who are not tech savvy, we have the Web3 marketing, the Web3 technical writing, and also the Web3 researcher for you too as well. For people,
personally, I'm taking the Web3 marketing. So I mean,
how are you liking it?
I mean, I enjoy it. The sad thing is, I'm not really consistent with classes.
You see,
just because of the work I'm doing. But
I know.
I hope they understand me, because I'm even in a group at the moment.
Yeah.
And we're supposed to do a final project or something, but I haven't gotten a chance to join on the meetings. But I hope today I'm able to hop in, and then I'm a changed person. My hands are up, white flag. I beg you people, I'm sorry. I'll join the class today. Yeah. But it's been amazing. And I honestly think it's a great venture for anyone who wants to, if you're just home, you probably don't have a 9 to 5, or even if you do, I think it's a great avenue to use this as a side hustle.
Yeah.
And maybe your 9 to 5 might become the side hustle after you're done, because I mean, there are numerous opportunities that are going to come from this, especially getting to earn in foreign currency.
Yeah.
And then even in cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
The whole, ecosystem. The world is like tech driven now.
Yes.
Everyone is looking at technology. Like if you go everywhere, there's some form of technology. Now we are streaming live.
Yeah.
A radio program.
Yeah.
Online.
Yeah. You
get it? Back in the day, they would have to tune in on a radio before they could hear us talk or anything. But now you can pick your smartphone up and then get in touch with the radio station and start listening to them, which is a great thing. So I think knowing that the world is moving towards Web3 now, and having to have a school or an academy that focuses on teaching people how to get into that venture is an opportunity I believe everyone should take an advantage of. So if they want to, if you're listening to us, you're live on ZFM. This is Z101.9 FM. And like I said, you should send your WhatsApp messages through 0544-321-019. I'm here with Vandros. And I want to end this, but there's so many things I want to talk about. However, if you want to join Helicode or want to sign up with them, their website is helicode.xyz. And currently, I'm looking at their website, and there's a discount sale that is ending in 2 days, 9 hours, which means you need to rush and get one for yourself, because it's a great opportunity for you to leverage in the Web3 space, just like Vandros said. One last thing about Web3. What are some of the limitations? What are some of the things that are hindering it from getting to where it's supposed to be at? What do you think are some of the challenges that is preventing it?
Yeah. One of them is talent, and I would also say that the coordination of talent. So this is one thing that we're trying to solve, is the recruitment aspect, to make it easier to streamline that process for new blockchain and Web3 companies that are launching, to be able to get their access to quality talent, right? At, a cost-effective rate. And another thing I would say is liquidity. So, sometimes it may be hard, especially now if you look at venture capital. It's now a little bit starting to pick up in terms of fundraising. But as you know, if you understand a little bit of liquidity cycles and things of this nature, we're in the quantitative easing cycle, meaning that the Federal Reserve in the United States is dropping its interest rates, which means it's going to be more accessible to get cheap debt, which means it's going to be more accessible in terms of liquidity for people to want to invest. So liquidity is one main issue too as well. And also long-term business revenue generating strategies, I think, is one of the other issues too as well. I think a lot of people that launch projects, maybe they're thinking more short-term, like a meme coin. But there's also, but then there's people that solve
things are deadly. Those things, that one almost took my life.
Yeah, yeah. It's so those things, it's literally, I mean, you could win a lot. It's like a casino, right?
Yeah.
So that's not really the only aspect of the Web3 space, So you have people that are building real and solving real problems, like identity solutions, or how to facilitate payments between the influencer and the organization through smart contracts, And these things a lot of these things don't require a token. They don't require you to launch a cryptocurrency, but you're using the actual infrastructure itself to be able to facilitate the product or service.
Okay. Beautiful. To wrap it up, just give us your final thoughts about this conversation. And I know you're not a social media person.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
So just leave any medium with which, if somebody wants to reach you, your LinkedIn profile, your LinkedIn account, and just your final thoughts.
Yeah. So I would say, if you want to reach me, first and foremost, you can hit me up on LinkedIn. So it's Vandros Idiake. I'm sure you'll have a link somewhere to put it in.
We'll drop it in the chat.
Yeah, so it's Vandros Idiake. I'm on LinkedIn. So you can reach out to me there if you have any questions. And also you can jump into our Twitter or our specifically our Discord. You can also reach us on our Twitter, also Telegram too as well, at Helicode Academy. So you'll find it if you just type in Helicode Academy on any of those platforms. You can reach us there too as well. And what I would say is, if you're very much interested in the Web3 space, just know there's a overabundance of opportunities. You just need to learn the skill and also add value. Because the Web3 space is a space where you can literally jump into a Telegram group, into a Discord of an actual company, because they're more community driven, and you can immediately try to add value to a point where you can become a moderator, you become the head marketer, or you could become the technical writer, by just adding value, by trying to help the actual project get to the next level. So that's what I would say.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you just tuned in, you missed a lot. We had a very intensive conversation with my brother, Vandros. And we spoke about Web3, we spoke about Helicode, we spoke extensively about the future of the web. And of course, you didn't miss. I was just pulling your legs. You can as well just head on to our social media pages at ZFMGH on Instagram, Facebook, and X. We are currently streaming live on Facebook, so you could just go on there to check the video out. Alternatively, you could just get a playback of that video live on our Facebook page, and that is why you need to follow us on there. You can as well follow us on TikTok and YouTube at Z Multimedia, and visit our website for more information at www.zmultimedia.com. Vandros, thank you so much for being with me. It was a pleasure having you. And I forgot to talk about this.
The space helmet.
I'm just seeing it. There's guys, if you're watching us live, there's a space helmet here. There's a whole space helmet. Can I touch it?
Yes, absolutely.
There's a space helmet here, and I think it speaks of who he is, where he's come from, and the last time you were telling me.
Yes, yeah. So the space helmet has a unique story. So when I was younger, I was told that I couldn't get into space because of my skin color. So then, eventually now this space helmet has become a representation of my dream. So I carry it around everywhere I go to let people know that don't be scared to chase your dreams. Never ever let anyone tell you what you can and can't do in your life, and just keep believing in yourself and pushing forward, because one day you will make it. So yeah,
Space Cowboy.
Yeah, exactly,
bro. It's a pleasure. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
And I hope to see you around.
Yes.
Have a nice day, bro. Thank you so much. Now we're going for a quick, short music break. Stay tuned. You're live on ZFMGH. This is the Z Tech Show by myself, Delpy, and we'll be right back.
It's your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
Z 101.9 FM.
It's your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
DJ Wade with them on Piano Vibes. The time check is almost 3 o'clock. Right, time really flew away. 50 minutes past 2 o'clock, and we're here to chat. I saw somebody asking what's the podcast about. I'm on a radio show. This is actually a radio show for ZFM, and it's live on ZFMGH on Facebook and Instagram and X. Make sure to follow us at Z Multimedia on TikTok and YouTube as well. And our website, rolling the audio feed live now, is www.zmultimedia.com. I'm opening the phone lines for you guys again. There's like 7 people on my TikTok at the moment. I don't know where the rest are. I know it's a hot afternoon and people are looking for money. However, if you're listening to me now, I'm going to tell you a story about how I got scammed on Instagram by purchasing something from a vendor. And I want you to tell me if you've ever encountered a similar story before. So I'm going to open the phone lines, and the phone lines are 0303-956-641. You can alternatively call us on 0544-321-019. 0544-321-019 and 0303-956-641. So just like everyone, getting scammed on Instagram is quite easy. That is if you don't know what you're looking for, and if you don't know how to cross-check things before you make purchases. There are some things you see online and you're like, wow, this pricing is very, very attractive. I want to get it. I have no choice than to get it. So I wanted to buy an iPhone. Now this is when I started creating content, and I had people always bashing me for not talking about iPhones, right? And so I was like, okay, fine. Let me just get an iPhone as a side device just so I could talk about iPhone features too as well, because I was mostly talking about Android. Then I rushed to Instagram, searched for a number of shops that have these iPhone pages to purchase from. So I found one that was quite interesting, and the pricing really suited my budget. It was even way more affordable than I expected. I wanted to buy the iPhone 12 at that point. So I headed on to this guy, DM'd them, they sent me pictures of it, told me their location even, and that was what made me trust them, because they said they had a physical shop. So I quickly just said, okay, how much is the phone? And I'm somebody who doesn't like to argue a lot or do a lot of back and forth, because I don't think it's really necessary. So he told me the price, and I was like, okay, try to bargain a little bit to reduce it, even though I knew the price was way lower than I expected it. He went ahead, and that was a red flag. He went ahead to reduce it again, making it more sumptuous for me to get it. So I went ahead to ask him for the option as to whether he accepts delivery before payment or payment before. He was like, no, I have to pay before he delivers, because I had to give him the money and he needs to go get it from the place he has it before they'll release it for him before he brings it. And I don't know how small my brain was at that point. I bought into that idea and sent him the money of about 3,500 cedis. So I sent him the money, and then he was like, yeah, he has received it, sent me a screenshot of payment. And boy, if today is the day I'm going to get the phone, I don't know. He blocked me, took me off. I couldn't send him messages. I realized my messages were taking one, and then I saw that his account had been changed to user 00 something. And when you see that on Instagram, it just basically means that you've been blocked by the person. So this was something I encountered. There are other friends of mine who actually received the product but got one that was fake. So I want to know, call in to tell me, have you ever been a victim of something like this? And the only resolve to most of these things, and sorry, if you want to call in, you're live on ZFM. This is Z101.9 FM. The call lines are 0544 321 019. You could call in to tell us your story. We have less than 5 minutes to go. Just call in and then let us listen to your story as well. And I'll see. My producer can reimburse you. Yeah, he said I should tell you that if you call me and then the money is not a lot, more than 10,000 cedis, more than 1,000. Yeah. Okay, so more than 1,000 cedis, you reimburse. So yeah, call us on 0544 321 019, 0544 321 019, and let's have a quick chat on your experience of being scammed. Make sure to follow us on social media at ZFMGH. On Instagram, Facebook, and X, and at Z Multimedia on TikTok and YouTube. The name is Delpy, and I am your host for Z Tech. One way to actually prevent this from happening is to make sure that you take a very critical look at the account you're making the purchase from. And personally, I don't buy into the advice or the trend of having to pay before delivery. I'm not somebody who likes to do that anymore. However, there are a few trusted vendors that I do that with, because I've had several purchases from them before I do that. If you're buying something from someone and they insist on paying before delivery, I'd advise you don't. This is after you've done a lot of background check from them, like especially on their Instagram profile like this. If you go to the about section, you should see the number of usernames they've used before. Initially, Instagram would give you the list of the usernames, but now they only give you the number of times this individual changed their username. So anything above 3 is a red flag. Even if it's 3, you want to be very cautious, especially if the account is still new. So you just need to avoid that. And if the pricing of the item is too good to be true, please do not go ahead with it. Right? I prefer that you go in a store, walk into a store, and then make purchases from there, because that would be much more safer and more efficient. And it also gives you the chance to check the item you're buying before you end up purchasing it, because Charlie, the system make hard though. You can go buy phone 3,000, 5,000 cedis and you don't see it. 5,000, 50 million. Please make sure you do all of these checks before you purchase it. I've seen a lot of people purchasing things on TikTok too lately. I'm begging you, please be extremely careful with the kind of pages you interact with, and make sure there's enough legitimacy. I'm expecting your calls, guys. Please call in on 0544 321 019. Oh, you people have never been scammed before. 0544 321 019. Let me know. Did you get what you bought? And if you got it, was it the same thing you requested for? Talk to us. You can as well call us on our landline at 0303 956 641. This is ZFMGH. You are live on ZFM 101.9. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and X at ZFMGH. And on TikTok and YouTube, we're live at Z Multimedia. Our website is always open for you guys to check out the latest news, the hottest gist, the beautiful topics at www.zmultimedia.com. Call me, and talk to me. Montana, you're about to call. Call in. 0544 321 019. We're almost a few minutes away from closing, so I'll be expecting your calls. I'm Delpy, and this is Z Tech.
Z 101.9 FM. Z 101.9 FM.
It's your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
Z 101.9 FM.
Stay tuned to your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
My time is up. It's time to leave. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. You were live with me on ZFM 101.9. Please make sure to follow us on our social media handles at ZFMGH for Instagram, Facebook, and X, and Z Multimedia for TikTok and YouTube. Earlier on the platform, we brought to you the BBZ, which is the Business Breakfast Show, which airs every morning from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. And then we came your way with the mid-morning show, which is titled The Brighter Side with Naya. I know, I've made a mistake. Either way, thanks for tuning in. It's a pleasure being here. We spoke about Web3, we spoke about tech, we spoke about the future of the internet, and it's going to be live on our Facebook pages, so you can check it out anytime. And as always, we will talk more, Charlie.